Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new 360 show. We've gone into December now, and it's summertime over here in South Africa. That means cricket time. The big news of today is the South African squads have been announced. As you know, India will be touring to South Africa for three T20s, three ODIs, and two Test matches. There's been some big surprises in the Test squads, and I'm going to be covering all of that. And also on AB Reacts, there's a big controversial story that I will be covering, and then also the 360 quiz. Stay tuned.
We're watching a very high-class player. This is when you know AB de Villiers is at his best.
So first up is the biggest format, the most important format in my opinion, the Test format. And there will be two Test matches between South Africa and India. That'll be the Boxing Day Test match starting on the 26th of December, and that'll be played at Centurion Park, Supersport Park, and then also the New Year's Test, 3rd of Jan, played at Newlands, one of my favorite venues in the world, with a mountain view. It just doesn't get better than that. Everyone always in good spirits around New Year. It's always a packed stadium, and playing against India doesn't get any bigger than that. That's for sure. So as you see, the South African Test squad, they're captained by Temba Bavuma, relatively inexperienced. Nandre Burger, David Bellingham, and Tristan Stubbs all get the nod to make their debuts. Uncapped Test players, and India will certainly be having a look at that. But there are also quite a few other players that are very inexperienced. Carl Verreynne, I would say Keegan Peterson has played quite a bit of late, not a lot, still relatively inexperienced. And who else? Tony de Zorzi, I would say, has not played a lot of cricket. So yes, inexperienced team, and India will certainly be trying to expose South Africa in that area. But looking at the Indian squad, there's also some inexperienced players. Mukesh, also Jaiswal and Gaikwad. So also a bit of inexperienced players there, maybe more familiar with me because they play in the IPLs. And we all know the IPLs are the biggest T20 tournament in the world. So let's not write the South African squad off. They are still playing at home. They do look inexperienced and up for the taking. So I think India will feel like this is their best chance to come over here and win a Test series. But all in all, I know these players all very well. They will be up for the fight, at least. And luckily, we have a lot of experience there as well in Alungin Giri, Rabada. Unfortunately, and Aidan Markram, I can name a few others, Dean Elgar, which will play a huge role, and also Temba. But unfortunately, no Anrich Nortje. That's a huge blow. He's not fit. He will not be ready for the series. And South Africa will feel that pain. Then a post from the Popping Crease, relatively pleased with the SA Test squad. Great to see Bellingham and Berger rewarded, and also Carl Verreynne rightfully back in. A real pity about Nortje, and I just mentioned that now. It is a big blow, and unfortunately, we'll be missing out with the raw pace of Anrich Nortje. Finally, just to summarize, not a bad Test squad, but certainly up for the taking. In my opinion, India will come out here and they will feel like they have a very good chance. I'll still back our boys to come out and fight as they always do. It's exciting to see a Gerald Coetzee there with a bit of pace, because you need the pace against the Indian batting lineup. But hopefully, guys like Dean Elgar, Temba, Keshav, who's played a lot of cricket, Aidan Markram, Kagiso Rabada, Ngidi, those senior players will stand up and they will be the glue of this team. Hopefully, they'll carry us through and give a great environment for these youngsters like a Stubbs, Bellingham, and Berger to shine in their first Test series at home. So to give you a little bit of background about the newcomers in the South African Test side, Nandre Burger, David Bellingham, Tristan Stubbs. Nandre Burger, fast left-arm bowler, hits the deck really hard. Reminds me a little bit of Gerald Coetzee. He's a really good bowler who will never stop trying. And we've seen him feature in the SA20 tournament. I'm sure as the SA20 tournament grows bigger and stronger, everyone around the world will start recognizing these new names a bit better, like it happens in the IPL. So Nandre Burger, hit the deck bowler. David Bellingham, good right-hand batter, bats up the order. We almost lost him to the UK. He's got a visa or passport. I'm not exactly sure what the facts are with regards to that. But him not getting a lot of opportunities over here in South Africa, he almost packed his bags like a Kevin Peterson did back in the day and a few other players. But luckily, there were some mentors that hung onto him, and here he is making his debut, playing or finding his way into the SA Test squad. And then Tristan Stubbs, I think most people will have heard his name before. He has played in the IPL. He's played in quite a few tournaments around the world. He's a power hitter. He can also offer you some off spin. And those are the three newbies. And just talking about this Test series, it's so exciting. We love having India over here in South Africa always. This is a huge occasion. As I said, India has never won a Test series in South Africa before. And Temba, as captain, and all the other players would not want to be the first side to let that happen. So it's all to play for in the Freedom Cup. I know it will be well supported. The players or the people over here, the fans, also have got very familiar with some of the Indian names over the years because of the IPL. So they will be seeing some of their favorite players over here: Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Bumrah, all those players. Shami, they're coming over here to South African shores, and the fans will be out in their thousands to go and support this amazing rivalry. And I back our boys. I hope they pull it through. But India will be coming here with a lot of force. It's all to play for over there in December and Jan, and I absolutely can't wait. Let's then move on to the ODI series. There are only 3 ODIs that will be played. It will be captained by Aiden Markram. But the talk of the town is all the new names we find in here, and Ferdos Munda talk about that. Also worth noting that Anrich Nortje remains unavailable across all formats as he continues to recover from a stretch fracture. He's expected to play again in March 2024. So with him being out and a few other players being replaced, you see also no Quinton de Kock there. But here we go. Aiden Markram, captain. Otniel Bartman. Absolutely love watching him bowl. He's an opening bowler. He's got a lot of skill. And he's just an outright really good player. Good pick, I would say. You'll see his name there in the T20 side as well. We find that name, Nandre Berger, again. He's had a very good SA20 tournament. Tony De Zorzi, bit of a surprise. He's not a flying batter. He's not a very aggressive player. He's got a few gears, but I still think he needs to work on that 5th gear. And we really take the bowlers down. But he will be found up the order. He's probably in there in place of Quinton de Kock. And will give South Africa hopefully a few good starts. I would love to work with Tony to find that 5th gear, to just up his game or take it to the next level. Maybe this is the platform and his opportunity to do so. Reza Hendricks, we all know about him. Absolute class player. I love watching him bat. He's very consistent. Then Heinrich Klaasen with a bit more experience there. We know all about him. Keshav Maharaj will be the spinner. And then a new name, Michlachli Mpongwana. Michlachli Mpongwana. That's the pronunciation. I hope I got it right. I'm sure I did. David Miller, that's a new name. I haven't seen him play. To be honest, I have seen his name, but I'm not very familiar with what he's capable of. I haven't seen him win games. He must have done some special things over here in South Africa of late, and he's got rewarded with an ODI cap. David Miller, Vian Mulder, Andile Plechlikwayo, Tabra Shamsi, Rassi van der Dissen, Carl Verreynne, Lizard Williams. Those are names we're a bit more familiar with. Let me tell you, this is a very handy ODI side. I'm very familiar with most of the names. Lizard Williams, very skillful bowler. Shamsi, we know. Rassi van der Dissen, we know. I think it's a good mix between experience and youth here. And it's great to see some of the players that's done well in the domestic setup being rewarded with an opportunity here. Let's quickly talk about Temba Bavuma not being in the squad. He's just been rested, so don't panic. He's been one of our best ODI players in the last while. He's a fantastic player up the order. But Aiden Markram getting the nod here and standing in for Temba, because Temba will be getting ready for the Test series. It's always important to give players a bit of a break in between series to get ready for what you feel will be a more intense series perhaps. And I think the Test matches will be very intense. And also, let's keep in mind, Temba was the captain when South Africa got knocked out recently in that World Cup semi-final. So also feeling the pressure there, perhaps, and just getting that time to, take a week off, go get ready for the Test matches and come back firing. And then finally, last but not least, the T20 side, also captained by Aiden Markram there. And very similar names, except for maybe a Matthew Breetska, that you see that you didn't spot in that ODI series, and also Donovan Ferreira, very strong power hitter over here from Pretoria, my hometown. I know him pretty well. He's a very handy player. He can also bowl spin. He can also take the gloves, and just a fantastic player. Other than that, no real surprises. You see the usual suspects there. all in all, a very good T20 side. These guys have all featured in the SA20 tournament, and I'm very excited to watch these guys play. I'm the most worried about the Test squad. In my opinion, the ODI and the T20 squads are relatively good. All players that have performed very well. A lot of them play in the IPL as well. The Test squad, I feel you don't get away with inexperience. So it's going to be up to some really good coaching, some really good prep going into that Test series to make sure these guys get the right balance, 11 out there, enough experience, and for the youth to have an environment where they can flourish. Luckily, as I said, the experienced players have been around for quite a bit. I think of Dean Elgar, Temba, Kagiso Rabada, Ngidi, a few others that will hopefully be enough to carry it through for the Proteas. It's a jam-packed summer and we can't wait. Just quickly from Ferdas Munda here, roll on summer. South Africa have named their squads to play in India in 3 T20s, 3 ODIs and 2 tests starting this weekend. And as she said, there some interesting names, most notably Tristan Stubbs and David Bedingham in the Test squad, and I've already covered all of that. And there you have it, the 3 squads for South Africa that will be preparing to play India over here in SA. It's summertime and it's very exciting. Just a quick word on someone like a Quinton de Kock and a few other senior players you might not have noticed in these squads. The coach have been talking to someone like a Quinton, leaving the door open for future tournaments, which I feel is fantastic. Really good man management. The guy you can see wants to get a little bit away. He needs a bit of space and time to think things through, to re-energize, and possibly to get ready. So it's great for them to be communicating with these players, giving them away in possible T20 World Cups coming up in the future. We know there's one coming up next year, and other big tournaments and maybe big series as well. I struggled really a lot with that towards the back end of my career, where I feel like I didn't really have or do, and I'm blaming myself for this, by the way, not blaming other people, didn't communicate enough about how I was feeling, especially after that 2015 World Cup, taking a big knock, not winning there, and just feeling flat and that I wanted to get away. And I feel the communication wasn't good enough there, possibly shortening my career, my international career at least, by a few years, unfortunately. But it's nice to see Quinny and a few other players being communicated to and being told, you know what, don't completely retire. If you're feeling flat, let's just send you away for a while, go do what you need to do, and I'll call you in 2 or 3 months' time and tell you, listen, are we getting ready for this T20 World Cup or not? So great communication there, I feel. Sometimes some players need to be treated differently. Some players have played for 15 years internationally, traveled the world, lost in 3 World Cups, and others have played 10 ODIs. They're not in the same boat. So that's the long and the short. And talking about Quinton de Kock in AB Reacts, we'll be covering straight away. Here's Quinny, just a quick video of him talking about his love for other sports. And after this video, I will give you my 5 cents because I can certainly relate. Here it is. I love this.
I must be honest, I don't actually remember when I picked up my first cricket bat. Obviously, I could have been young, but I know primary school I grew up in. But cricket was never my first love. It was never my first love.
What was?
It was baseball.
Okay.
Baseball was my first. I really loved baseball. But obviously, the baseball's not a big thing in South Africa. Cricket was, and obviously, I was very good at cricket also at school.
Yeah.
So one took over from the other.
Right.
And that's how it actually all happened.
Okay.
Yeah, cricket is probably my 3rd love at the moment, my 4th love.
Okay, go through the list.
Obviously, there was baseball, fishing. Golf is now taken over also.
Okay.
Paddle. I'm busy.
Paddle as well.
Busy thinking, yes, if I can go back in my life, I'll be a paddle player or golfer or something else. So, but no, cricket was never my first love back then. It was always baseball, and then it was cricket. Okay. And obviously, the whole situation that just built in that I was actually a decent cricketer.
And you're a little bit good, yeah.
Yeah, and then that just took over, and obviously the opportunities of baseball didn't come as much as cricket. So obviously primary school, played a lot of cricket in primary school, club cricket, and obviously high school, then we pushed because there was no baseball in high school. I couldn't go, I was at hostel. So then we really pushed my cricket in, and that's how I filtered through the system like that. And yeah, now we sit here.
Yeah, there's Quinny talking about all kinds of interesting things, talking about baseball and fishing, things that he apparently loved more than cricket. I can certainly relate to that. I grew up playing all kinds of sport, tennis, golf, obviously cricket, rugby, you name it. I would say tennis was probably my strongest suit in primary school years. And the minute I got a taste of team sports in high school, everything changed for me. And then cricket became my life and my job and also my career, my future, my everything. And that is what I relate with. Whether Quinny means that, I'm not sure. But when you add in a bag of traveling all year round, a lot of pressure, some quiet tears in your hotel room when things are not going well, and you just feeling empty at times, feeling like you're missing life, feeling like you're missing your family, you're not getting to things that you feel passionate about. In my opinion, and what I went through, it's got a lot to do with the fact that cricket becomes a job where you grew up actually just loving the game and just playing it. So I had to constantly remind myself and refresh myself and remind myself, you know what, remember why you play this game. It's for the love and the passion of the game. I absolutely love cricket, but the minute it becomes your job, things change a bit. And I feel that's what Quinny has been going through, missing out on baseball and fishing, hunting, whatever he wanted to do throughout his life. You never had those university years. I mean, at the age of 19, he started traveling exactly the same as me. So I think we went through very similar things. And I very clearly remember getting home after 3 or 4 months tour and just feeling so confused and not finding your feet. And before you know it, you're back on a plane again and you're flying off again. So don't get me wrong. Yes, absolutely lived my dream. And same with Quinny. I think there's so many things we can be grateful for. It's such a big privilege representing your country and other teams and touring the world. But try and keep in mind there are a lot of times where things don't go according to plan, and you're sitting in the middle of nowhere with no family, and you miss out on a lot of life, I would say, where your normal guy would go to university and have a completely different setup there in his early 20s when you actually go from a boy to a man. Anyway, long story short, I feel for Quinny, but I'm very happy that he's kept that door open, and that's what Tinus van Staden says here in this post. Interesting to hear Rob Walter say Quinton de Kock wanted to retire from all international cricket after the World Cup. Very similar thing I've been crying out after the 2015 World Cup loss. But Rob Walter spoke to him, presumably with the eye on the T20 World Cup next year, and that might be his swan song. So just fantastic to see the door still open for Quinny and possibly some other senior players. It's a very difficult thing to manage because now you have other players representing South Africa in the series, for instance, against India. They will feel like they've worked so hard to get into that team, and now someone just comes from the outside and says, hold on, I'm ready again. That happened to me as well. I put up my hand for the 2019 World Cup, feeling that like I was in the form of my life. I wasn't going to do that, and right on 99, I spoke to Faf on a cricket field, and I just felt like, you know what, if there's any way, and I know it's selfish, I'm really sorry, but if someone is perhaps out of form and you feel there's a spot for me, I'll put my hand up. That completely backfired. I was called all sorts of names. But it's nice to see a very mature coach being prepared to open up the possibility of Quinny doing that. Because why? He's one of the best players this world has ever seen. So it makes sense to me. Anyway, moving on then, something very controversial. My friend David Warner was on the show not long ago, and Mitchell Johnson having a bit of a go at each other. I'll just quickly read what Mitchell Johnson put out here. It's been 5 years and David Warner has still never really owned the ball tampering scandal. Now the way he's going out is underpinned by more of the same arrogance and disrespect to our country. As we prepare for David Warner's farewell series, can somebody please tell me why? And why a player at the centre of one of the biggest scandals in Australian cricket history warrants a Euros send-off? Very hard words there from Mitchell Johnson. I've played many cricket games against this guy, and he can be brutal. But I can tell you, off the cricket field, he's a gentle giant. He's a nice guy. He had this switch on the field, very similar to a Dale Steyn. But it's very difficult to comment on that. Obviously, something tweak team here about David Warner. They spent a lot of hours in the change room together, and maybe that's where it started. And Mitchell Johnson just feeling like, you know what, you getting this Euro send-off because you were part of a World Cup winning team now, and you getting away with a lot of things that have not been told. So I think this is not the end of it. I think a lot will still come out. I can tell you I've played with Davey at Delhi Daredevils back in the day, and there is a bit of a short fuse sometimes. So maybe him and Mitch having both short fuses just collided. And there's the second part there of Mitchell Johnson taking a lot of criticism, and then he came out with this. I got a message from Dave, which was quite personal. I tried to ring to try and talk to him about it, which I've always been open to. I know I've been open to the guys. When I finished playing, he says there, I said, if I'm in the media and writing things or saying things that you don't like, just come and speak to me. And I can certainly back him up on that. There's absolutely no need to hold grudges against someone, or to even, I don't, first of all, I don't like this public conversation between the two of them. Just pick up your phone, sort it out. Ask the guy, let's go for a cold drink and sort the issues out. So I think both of them could maybe just do that. Obviously, guys, this sounds to me like there's some scars from back in the day in the change rooms, them certainly clashing. This is not the first time, let me tell you that. The thing about Davey Warner is he's not scared of saying something. So he would, for instance, have a go at some senior guy on a bus and with absolutely out holding back. So maybe there's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors, and Mitch Johnson just inviting Dave in, saying, you know what, if you're upset with me, come and talk to me. I'm right here, and I think that'll be the right thing to do and the mature way to deal with a situation like this, and stop sending tweets out to each other and letting the whole world in on this conversation. Let's move on to the 360 quiz then. In last week's quiz, on this day in 2015, cricket witnessed a result in its first day-night test at the Adelaide Oval. Who was the highest wicket taker in this test match? A lot of you got it right, and the answer was Josh Hazlewood. He picked up 9 wickets in total, so congrats to the winner there. And in this week's question, or in the 360 quiz, on this day in 2022, England became the first side to score 500 runs on the first day of a test match. I've been a part of a test match where the Aussies scored over 400, I think in 54, 55, somewhere there at the Adelaide Oval. It was absolutely brutal, so I know what it feels like. But who was this match against? And who were the 4 Centurions on the day, or on the day one of the test match? And I'm talking about this on this day in 2022. The England batters had a feast. So what's the answer to that? I hope you guys get it right. And I would just like to finish off by saying thank you very much for joining me on the 360 show this week. It's all about the South African series, India coming over here to take them on. And it's all about the test series for me. I will put a lot of emphasis on that, but we will also keep an eye on the T20s and the ODIs, which I'm very excited about. Subscribe to my channel, hit that bell notification, follow me in socials, and I will be seeing you guys on 360 Live on Friday. Have a good week.